Today on the show, we're going to talk about the first Robin, the second Batman, and technically the first Nightwing. If you didn't know that he became Nightwing because of some influence from Superman, then this show is for you. So Dick Grayson, he would first appear in Detective Comics number 38 in 1940. But why exactly was he made? Well, Batman had a really dark tone and feel to it at the time, so they needed a way to make the series seem a lot lighter. So to do this, they came up with the idea of a teenage sidekick. DC figured that if they created a young superhero, then children would live vicariously through Robin. And this plan worked, and the sales of Batman skyrocketed. Eventually, as the series progressed onwards, it would have this weird campy feeling, and people would start accusing Robin and Batman of being in a homosexual relationship, which obviously for the 1940s through to the 1950s, and even these days, would seem disgusting. Though back then it was disgusting because it was homosexual, these days it's disgusting because it will be an old man with a young boy. It's actually these homosexual accusations that gave birth to the Bat Family concept. And while the Bat Family isn't exactly relevant to Dick, if you do want to find out more about it, I do talk about it in some detail in my Batwoman video. So Dick Grayson, the youngest of the Flying Graysons, an acrobatic circus act consisting of him and his parents that he would join at the age of 12. Although he joined the act at the age of 12, he would actually be trained in acrobatics from birth. Eventually, the circus that his family was touring with, Haley's Circus, would go to Gotham City. In Gotham City, Dick would overhear the circus owner be threatened by Tony Zuko to pay extortion money, otherwise the circus performers would get hurt. Obviously, the circus owner was just like, "What are you talking about? Get out of my circus." Dick would continue on with his day as if he hadn't heard anything, and then that night he would watch in horror while the high wire his parents were performing on snapped and they fell to their deaths. To this day, Dick still feels like if he had just said something, then his whole life would be totally different. And I kind of have to say, I agree with this. But was he supposed to stay with the circus, or was he supposed to become Nightwing? I honestly feel like he does more good as Nightwing, so I feel like his parents dying was just part of his destiny. Soon after this, Dick would be put into the juvenile service system because social services was full, and then he'd be put into a Catholic orphanage, and this was an equally bad experience for him. Fortunately, he would go on to be adopted by Bruce Wayne, not as a son, but as a ward. Bruce chose to adopt Dick as a ward rather than a son because he didn't want to replace Dick's parents with a billionaire. Bruce would obviously lead a double life as Batman, and Dick wouldn't know anything about this, and he would get frustrated with the lack of attention that his new guardian was giving to him, to the point that he would sneak out and try to investigate the murder of his parents. And while out on the investigation, who should he run into but Batman? Dick would then be attacked by one of Zuko's associates, Eddie Skeevers, and he would pass out in this fight, but he'd fortunately be saved by Batman, and then Dick would wake up in the Batcave, and he'll be really surprised to learn the true identity of Batman. From here, the duo would go on to prove the truth behind the murders, but Zuko would apparently die of a heart attack before he could be arrested. Bruce saw a lot of his own personality in Dick's, and he also saw an undying thirst for justice, so he made Dick the offer of a lifetime, the offer to become his crime-fighting partner, which Dick obviously openly accepted. He chose the name Robin, and his training began straight away. The two of them swore an oath that they would always fight together, and they would always fight for the side of good, no matter what. This was actually the first time that Batman realized that he didn't have to be alone. I mean, Alfred wasn't even on the scene at this point, so he had been really working alone for a while now. Dick had a serious 6 months of training before he was even allowed to take his final test. His final test was to evade Batman on the streets of Gotham with no outside help from sunset to sunrise, and he passed with flying colors. Dick would then take to the streets as Robin, Batman's full-time crime-fighting partner. Dick was relatively carefree in his first year as Robin, and he didn't really understand the fine line of life and death that he was dancing on for this whole year, and it was actually an encounter with Two-Face that woke him up. So Two-Face would capture Batman and the new district attorney and hang them in a noose in a double gallows death trap. Robin would use a batarang to cut down the new district attorney, and this worked, but he didn't take into account the second trap. The floor would give away and the district attorney would drown. Two-Face would then beat up Robin while Batman was helpless to watch. Batman would eventually break free and save Robin, but this would cause Batman to make the parental decision to fire Robin. Dick would be really psychologically damaged because of this event. I mean, who wouldn't be? What's important to note is that this event didn't cause Dick to quit crime fighting. In fact, he would go on to team up with various other sidekicks and create the Teen Titans. The Teen Titans was formed when a number of sidekicks felt like their mentors were patronizing them, and they felt like lesser people and lesser heroes, and all of them knew this wasn't true. They all knew that they were just as skilled as their mentors. When all the sidekicks teamed up, they were able to cure their mentors from being mind controlled, and the mentors would be like, maybe you kids teaming up isn't such a bad idea after all. And they would have a number of adventures together, but eventually the kids would grow up and grow apart and the Teen Titans would be disbanded. Dick would go on to study at university, and he'd still occasionally work with Batman, but he'd take part in a lot of solo missions, and he was really competent on his own. Soon after this, Raven would summon Robin and a number of other heroes to create the new Teen Titans, and Robin would once again be the leader. It's actually the new Teen Titans that pushed Robin out of Batman's shadow, not just in comics, but in real life as well. It's super effective! Dick was now 17 years of age, and he would be shot in the shoulder by the Joker, and Batman would once again fire him. It was at this point that Dick realized for himself that he was a man now. He wasn't the child that relied on the shadow of the Bat. He had his own methods of crime fighting, and none of them really went well with Batman's. It was this, on top of the fact that he was constantly working with the Titans in New York, that he didn't really have time for Gotham anymore. He actually dropped out of university after only one semester. Bruce would then say to Dick, "If you don't want to be my partner anymore, then you can't be Robin." And Dick would be all like, "See ya," and he would leave. It was actually the Titans that got him through this really hard event. It was also around this time that Dick's relationship with Starfire would begin to blossom, and Starfire is one of the main causes that we still have Dick around today. She helped him out so much during this time, it's unbelievable. Dick decided that he needed to go soul searching for a time, so he handed over the leadership of the Titans to Wonder Girl and left. He wasn't really sure where to go from here, so he turned to someone he knew he could trust, Superman. It was actually revealed that Dick had considered quitting crime fighting altogether, but he couldn't imagine life any other way, but he couldn't be Robin anymore, so he really didn't know what he should do. Superman would tell Dick a story about a man from Krypton, a man who was exiled by his family, a man who just dreamt of a world ruled by justice, a man who fought to defeat evil and protect the weak. And no one knew this man's name, so everyone just called him Nightwing. Eventually, the Titans would be kidnapped by Deathstroke and taken to the Hive, and this would force Dick to take the identity of Nightwing for himself, and he would save them with the help of his new friend and ally, Jericho. This one very good thing would lead to a series of horrible things. You see, Dick's relationship with Starfire would really suffer when she had to get married to a person on her home planet. Then he would suffer brainwashing at the hands of Brother Blood. Then he would be insulted when he found out there was a new Robin. And then he'd be horribly upset when he found out this new Robin died. And while all this was going on, Bruce and Dick were still angry at each other for the whole "you can't be Robin anymore" thing. Dick would then be reached out to by Tim Drake, who wanted Dick to become Robin again. Dick was amazed that this child had managed to figure out that he was Robin, but Dick would just refuse this, and this would set Tim on the path to becoming Robin himself. Over the coming weeks, Tim would prove his worth time and time again, and Dick would eventually go to Batman and plead Tim's case. A whole series of things will happen that would be more relevant for a Tim Drake video, but Nightwing was very much involved with the creation of the Tim Drake Robin. It's actually around this time that fans of the series began to realize that Dick Grayson was the acrobatic Robin, Jason Todd was the anger Robin, and Tim Drake was the detective Robin. And you might be wondering, well, where does this leave Damian? Damian is the true son of Batman. He is everything the three Robins can be and more. This being said, the three original Robins definitely have their own individual skills that Batman doesn't necessarily have, and Damian definitely doesn't have that. A number of adventures would happen with the Titans, and this would lead to a really hard time with the Titans, but Dick would remain a member through all of this, but his relationship with Starfire would become very strained, and this caused him to impulsively propose to her. And the two actually made it to the altar, and their wedding would be interrupted by a Trigon-possessed Raven. Raven would plant Starfire with a demon seed, and this would cause Starfire to go search for herself through the universe, and Starfire and Dick became very distant, and their relationship would fail. Dick would actually return to Gotham for some adventures there, and by the time he got back to the Titans, he'd find that the government had wormed their way into the team, and they had placed Speedy, or Arsenal, as the leader of the Titans, and he was so unhappy with this that he just left and decided that Gotham needed him more. Next, Batman would get his back broken by Bane, and Bruce would ask Dick to take over the role of Batman for just a short period of time. It was during this time that Dick was finally able to confront Two-Face and defeat some inner demons. He also had a really brotherly relationship with Robin that was really fun to watch, but obviously Bruce would eventually return to his role of Batman. And for the first time in ever, Bruce would reveal just how proud he is of Dick. Later, Batman would call upon Nightwing when the Apocalypse virus was loose in Gotham, and Nightwing, Robin, and Huntress would team up to stop rioters from burning down Babylon towers. It would then be revealed that Robin was infected with the virus, and Nightwing would carry him to the Batcave's medical area, but the team would just give up and resign themselves to the destruction of Gotham. But then, out of nowhere, Azrael manages to find a cure for the virus. Then the team would eventually realize that the cure wasn't a cure after all, and in fact, the virus had just been put into a dormant state, and our team would go over to Sudan to try and find a cure for the virus, where they would find out that Ra's al Ghul was behind the whole thing. Nightwing would actually hold his own in a sword fight against Ra's, but Ra's would eventually defeat Nightwing and escape. Nightwing and Robin would then travel to Paris, where they would team up with Henry Ducard to stop Ra's from releasing the virus in the Louvre. Nightwing, Robin, and Huntress would then go to Raz's boat, and Raz would attempt to execute Nightwing, but then out of nowhere, Robin manages to find the cure for the virus, save Nightwing, and have our party escape before the boat explodes. Soon after this, Nightwing would relocate to Broodhaven, and not many individually important things would happen in this time period, but the experience overall just made Nightwing a more cynical hero and have a much more grim outlook on life. A lot of people don't seem to pick up on this, but in DC Comics, at least before the New 52, when a character starts letting experiences define them rather than letting themselves define them, bad things are sure to happen. And that's exactly what happens next. The Titans and Young Justice are approached by an organization that want to fund both teams as a tax write-off. Nightwing dismisses this and calls it selling out, but then both teams are attacked by an android, and this android sends a third of both groups to the hospital, but Cyborg insists that the android isn't hostile. The android would then accidentally wake up a broken Superman robot from Star Labs, and this broken Superman robot would murder Omen and Donna Troy, and it was these events that caused the Titans to dissolve and Young Justice to dissolve. While the Titans would be reformed and the new Robin would definitely be a part of them, Nightwing wouldn't join them until about 2008. Nightwing would then become Renegade as an attempt to infiltrate Lex Luthor's secret society of supervillains as a way of causing trouble from the inside, but then Deathstroke would get wind of this, and he would force Nightwing to train his daughter Rose as the new Ravager. Otherwise, he was going to tell the rest of the supervillains about what Nightwing was up to. Deathstroke would eventually betray Nightwing when Blüdhaven would be destroyed by the Society. Sharemoon would be dropped on the city, and this would kill over 100,000 people, and Nightwing would try and rescue the survivors, but he would eventually succumb to radiation poisoning and have to be saved by Batman. Nightwing then admits that he let Blockbuster die and begs for Batman's forgiveness, and Batman basically said that forgiveness doesn't matter and that Nightwing should just try and move on, and he does exactly that and proposes to Barbara Gordon, who accepts his proposal with a kiss. Batman then tells Nightwing to warn other heroes about the oncoming crisis, and Nightwing goes to Titan's Tower to try and call other heroes, but the only person that turns up is Superboy. Together the duo would stop the destruction of the universe, but Superboy would be murdered by Superboy Prime, and Nightwing would have to be rescued by the Justice Society. He would recover from this escapade with Barbara by his side, and the moment that he can walk again, Bruce asks him if he will join him and Robin in retracing his steps to becoming the Dark Knight. Initially, Dick is all like, I don't know, I got Barbara. But then Barbara returns his engagement ring and basically tells him to make a decision for himself and not treat her as an anchor. Barbara's real reasoning behind this is that she can see Dick needs to rediscover himself, and she hopes that by him going on this journey, he'll be able to do exactly that. And she also doesn't really want to be married to a person that doesn't really know himself, especially not in the business that the both of them work in. The two part on very good grounds, and before Dick goes, he leaves Barbara an envelope. And inside this envelope is a note saying he'll be back for her one day, a picture of them together as Robin and Batgirl, and the engagement ring on a chain. It's super effective! When Nightwing would eventually return to Gotham, he would team up with the new Batwoman and Detective Renee Montoya as an attempt to stop Intergang from destroying Gotham. In 1 year later, Dick found out that someone in New York was pretending to be him as Nightwing and was going about murdering people. So Dick would obviously go to New York and find out who this was, and it turned out to be a resurrected Jason Todd, and Dick would defeat him, and then he'd take the lead of the Outsiders. He'd then find out about an attack on Cyborg's Titans East trainees, and then he'd find out that various other old Titans members had also been attacked. So he decides to team up with them once again, and they all find out that Trigon is back. This is a story that I'm not really going to get into too much detail on. I think the only key thing for you to know about Dick in this story is that he still has a lot of lust for Starfire, but not that much love. Following Batman's disappearance in Final Crisis, Gotham would be put into chaos by a new Black Mask who takes control over all of Arkham's inmates using microchips and then destroys the asylum. Nightwing would rally together Batman's network in an attempt to return peace to the city, but then Jason Todd would put on a batsuit and would begin to violently gun down enemies. On top of all of this, Penguin and Two-Face would go at war with one another, not realizing that Black Mask was manipulating them. Dick refuses to become Batman, so Tim decides that he was going to become Batman, and this actually gets him stabbed in the chest. Then Azrael would steal the Suit of Sorrows, and Nightwing would have to battle him, and eventually the two come to a mutual agreement and Azrael is allowed to operate through Gotham. The network would then go after Black Mask when they realize that he is the real threat, and Dick would go after Jason personally. Jason lies and says that he killed Tim Drake, so Dick and Jason battle it out on top of a moving subway car, and Dick would kick Jason off the subway car, making Jason seemingly fall to his death. After all of these events, Dick finally admits to himself that he is supposed to become the new Batman, he dons the cowl, and Damian becomes his sidekick. Damian as Robin and Dick as Batman is some of the best chemistry in comic book character history. And if you're going to write a story about a hero and his sidekick, then definitely look at these two, because it's such a great example and it's so much fun to read. At Bruce Wayne's private funeral, Dick says that they can't allow the legend of Batman to die and that they have to make it go on somehow. So Alfred builds Dick his own Bat bunker so that he can make the role his own. It's super effective! Dick begins his career as Batman with a bang, because 1, he takes down Scarecrow, and 2, he's seen as a more media-friendly Batman. Like, he allows crime scenes to be filmed, and this is so his convictions would stick. While all this was going on, Hush was actually posing as Bruce Wayne in an attempt to mess with the Wayne family fortune. Fortunately, he was kept in line by the constant threat of the Bat family breathing down his neck. It's later revealed that Tim Drake thinks that Bruce is still alive, and Dick does not support this theory at all. So Tim leaves Dick and goes to search for clues in Europe as Red Robin. What I find interesting here is that Dick has yet to realize that Tim is a much better detective than even maybe Batman. So when Tim has a theory, you listen to it. A number of individual adventures would happen, which include Jason Todd coming back on the scene, finally taking down Black Mask, but eventually we'd end up at Blackest Night, which is one of the most important parts of Dick Grayson's career as Batman. See, corpses around the city would be reanimated by Black Lantern rings, and Dick and various other Bat family members would have to fight these corpses, but Dick would have to fight the corpses of his parents who would try and kill him. Our team would survive this ordeal, but Dick would decide that being Batman was way too much for him, so he decides that he's going to reanimate Bruce Wayne. While in London, Dick defeats King Cole and actually teams up with Batwoman, Knight, and Squire and takes down the Religion of Crime. The whole reanimating Bruce Wayne in the Lazarus Pit idea goes from being a generally bad idea to a horrible, horrible idea when the corpse turns out to be an insane clone created in the Evil Factory in Final Crisis. The team would fortunately defeat the clone, and Dick would admit that Bruce has to be alive somewhere. After Blackest Night, Donna Troy and Hal Jordan rebuild the Justice League, and Batman and a handful of other heroes are invited to join. So Bruce Wayne would return from being trapped in the past and having to fight his way back to the present day. I know that sounds trippy, and I would really love to explain it, but it would need its own video and a half. So upon his return to the present, he would turn the concept of Batman into a global operation known as Batman Incorporated, and he would reveal that he's been funding Batman for all of these years. After this, there's one kind of very, very small, irrelevant adventure, and then the New 52 would happen, and Dick is not Batman anymore. I'm not going to get into too much detail about the New 52 Dick Grayson, because his comic is very much the experience rather than the character. I will, however, tell you what you need to know to set the scene for you if you choose to read the New 52 Nightwing comic. He now lives in the heart of Gotham, which is obviously where most of the problems are, and he does this because he believes that if you want to fix a problem, you should live in it, rather than in a manner on the outside of it. He also did have a relationship with Starfire in the past, but as far as we can tell, it never led to anything like marriage, and he also never proposed to Barbara. I personally did not like these changes in the New 52 at first, but then I stuck with it, I kept reading it, I stuck with the character, and now I love it. And you really just have to stick with it, and trust me, it's worth it. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. If you think I missed anything majorly important about Dick Grayson, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.